What's going on, guys? I know it is incredibly late, but I am back with yet another film review, this time for Yesterday. Now, if you didn't know already, Yesterday is pretty much a homage to all the music of the Beatles and their legacy, and it's really just that. It was a nice film, it was fun, it didn't take itself too seriously, but overall, I like this film. The brief plot centers around struggling musician Jack Malik, who's just trying to get a role somewhere, just trying to get a gig, and all of a sudden, during a blackout, a worldwide power outage, he collides with a bus. This bus knocks him out, and when he wakes up in hospital and returns to life, he plays a Beatles song, and he starts finding out that people have forgotten who the Beatles are. So in turn, when he finds this out and he finds out that absolutely no one knows, he starts ripping off some of the songs and becomes a hit sensation, a great songwriter and a great talent in his own right, according to this world. The film basically just handles how he handles it. It just looks at how he can't handle being a fraud, how fame is sometimes poisonous, and overall, that's the brief plot. For the most part, the film didn't blow my mind, but there were a few scenes towards the end which really I found quite special. Some people had a problem with it. Some people had a problem with the portrayal of these scenes and their intention. It's a really hard film to review because from looking at it from the plot, it is original and it doesn't take itself too seriously, so you can really latch onto it and laugh with it. And then sometimes it acts like you don't know who the Beatles are, and that it tries to force everything down your throat like it's fan service, but it's too much fan service. It's a weird film in that sense, but overall I sort of found it somewhere in the middle. I'm a huge Beatles fan myself, so being appreciative of the music and just enjoying the humour that the plot brought across, I was somewhere in the middle. I didn't absolutely adore this film. I think it was just better than average. For me, it's sort of in the middle somewhere of being better than average, but not fantastic. So it's a really hard film to review, but basically throughout this plot, there is a love story that's thrown in. The love story is pretty much the most unoriginal thing about the plot, which is why I feel like I've seen this plot before, even though it's entirely original, because you're throwing in those overused tropes. It actually brings the plot down, and even though for the most part it's original plot, because those romantic scenes have such a weight on where the plot is going, it brings it down into that unoriginal territory, which I think is a bit of a shame. I don't have a problem with it being a love story of sorts, I just have a problem with overemphasizing the love story in this weird story of fame and just this weird thing about people forgetting certain things in this world. Then on the other side of things, the film sort of doesn't really explain its logic. I don't really consider that a spoiler because the trailer actually doesn't give that away either. It actually doesn't give away too many twists or spoilers, but going off what the trailer said, the film's not really bogged down or not really focused on explaining the logic and the reasoning of this blackout, of the film, of why people behave the way that they do. So overall, I had fun with it, but there were just a lot of plot holes, and I really enjoyed this film when I walked out of the cinema. I think I enjoyed it more than I did now, and not that I don't enjoy it, I just have had some time to think on it, and I've had some time for those plot points to really rest with me, and I just feel like sometimes they could have done a better job. It is, I don't want to be racist, like typical British humour. It's very dry, it's very quick-witted. If you blink, you'll miss it with some jokes. But I overall think that it was funny. I did laugh a few times in this film. There were a few heartwarming scenes. The love story is not entirely original. That's about it. But at the same time, I saw this film for what it was, and at its core, taking those original concepts and actually really working with the fan service and the legacy of the Beatles and a few magic scenes towards the end, I'm going to give this film a solid watch. Now it just cuts a solid watch. For me, but it has to be because I enjoyed this film, and for the films that I've given an okay watch in the past, it's better than those, and it does hold some weight for me personally as well. So being a huge Beatles fan, I'm also just glad that the Beatles weren't done as a typical biopic, considering we've had Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Band so close to each other. While I love those films, and while I actually like the Beatles more than both those bands and musicians, I feel like right now it would have been a harder pill to swallow than what we got in Yesterday. So overall, guys, it's a great film in its own right. I think that you should go watch it at least. I think because I'm conflicted, I also feel that a lot of people will latch onto this film on different levels. If you're a Beatles fan, you'll definitely enjoy the music, but I think it actually holds its own weight as a love story. Even though it's an overused love story, it actually can appeal to a wider audience, in the sense that love stories, for that reason, aren't original, but are so successful sometimes. So there are a lot of things going for it, and there are a lot of reasons why people can latch onto it. So I think that's something to be admired, and I don't think that it's something the film has trouble juggling. I just think that it's something that the film felt like they had to have in order to make it a bit more relevant to those people that weren't Beatles fans, which is a little bit of a shame, because like films like Rocketman and Bohemian Rhapsody, why not just go all out and give the fans what they want, essentially? But that's not the way films work. They are run by a business, so I guess that's how it is. Now, I hope you got something from this review today, guys. If you liked the video, please leave a like down below. If you have something to say about Yesterday or the Beatles or anything about this film, comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Most of all, guys, subscribe. Join the race to 200 subscribers, I guess. And if you haven't clicked that bell button down below and you want to stay updated with all my future content as it drops, please click that bell button. That's it from me today, guys. I'm Chungy. Thanks for stopping by my world, and I'll see you soon. Take care.